Welcome into Overtime, presented by McDonald's. Dewey, Dailey, along with John Bruce for today's episode. Should be a fun one. A lot of tournament talk in today's show, something we haven't touched on a whole lot. We've hinted at it a little bit, especially with football, but now we're at that point in the year to, well, obviously for volleyball and soccer, all the seedings have been released, and I think football comes out this week.
Like right after week 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, really? So that's the only sport that it doesn't come out during the
they
regular
do
season?
They do like weekly updates from the OHSAA, but if you go to joeidle.com, it's like
pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But we're going to have volleyball seedings talk and then boys, girls, soccer, as well as some golf as well. So it should be a pretty fun episode. A lot of different sports.
Fun fact, I'm an idiot and thought cross-country that the league meets were going to be last week, but they're actually going to be this week. So
there we go.
We'll talk cross-country next week.
There we go. Yeah. An episode that'll be 19 I believe, hopefully next Tuesday. A little bit different of a schedule for us this week. A lot of exams for your boy, so we had to push it back to Wednesday instead of normally record on Monday. But so should be a fun time here.
Yeah, so we actually have a little more information on some of the games than what we may have had otherwise. So we're kind of going to skip the match reviews a little bit this week since this is so much away from some of the games from last week. Then we're going to get real deep into the tournament seedings and some of the sectional games to watch, along with our impact players and
some milestones as well. So we won't forget about any of those from the previous week, and I think even some were earlier on this week as well. So it should be a fun episode. We're going to start off with some tournament talk for volleyball. We'll start off with D2. Some area teams and some of their seedings. Unioto draws the 2 seed. Fairfield Union at 7. Fairland at 10. Those two teams play each other. Circleville at the 3 seed. They'll play the winner of McLean and River Valley. Athens draws the 11 seed. They have New Lexington in the sectional final. Sheridan draws the 1. They play the winner of Waverly and Hillsboro. Logan Elm and Miami Trace. That should probably be one of the more competitive sectional semifinal games. Out of the lineup here, Warren and Jackson, Marietta, Vinton County. We already talked Fairfield Union and Fairland, and then New Lex and Athens. And it should set up some pretty fun sectional finals as well.
Yeah, if you just look at the records, like Vinton County 10-7 is the 13 seed. Yeah. Like that's just insane. This is a year that it's almost unfair that there's only one district winner because of just how deep this district is. Sheridan gets the 1 seed at 16-3. Unioto at the time of the draw 17-2. I believe they're 19-2 at this point. Fairfield Union the 7 with 4 losses, but they beat Unioto during the regular season. It's just. I covered a game down at Jackson last night and overheard one of their players talk about Warren. Warren's got an OU commit, and they're the 5 seed at 15-2. And the girl said that she's not even sure she's their best player. Like that's how good Warren is. Yeah. Marietta 16-2 is the 4. It's just that Logan Elm Miami Trace game is going to be dynamite, and then the winner. Their reward is Sheridan. To go to Sheridan too. So for Logan Elm, it's not as bad because they're one of the closer schools to Sheridan, but it'd be a heck of a trip for Miami Trace, but they would be very happy to make it. I think Fairland and Fairfield Union is going to be interesting because Fairland coming out of the OVC. We'll talk a little bit about them later. Having a really good season, but with Christian Thompson, that's a tough matchup for anybody.
Yeah, and there's another OU commit on a team, and they're the 7 seed, right? Yes. And they're 14-4. And I mean, you were talking about how Vinton County's 10-7 as a third. I mean, Miami Trace is 15-3 as a 9 seed. Sheridan 16-3 as a 1 seed. So I'm sure there's some strength of opponent in there. I'm sure Sheridan's. Although we I guess really the FAC wasn't. I would say, especially for Miami Trace anyway, probably wasn't as competitive as we may have thought going in. Now, a lot of those teams below Miami Trace beat on each other,
right?
But none of them could really get over Miami Trace. I think they've now won the league 2 years straight, 2 or 3. I can't remember if they won in 21 or not, but for sure 2 years in a row for the Panthers. Should set up, as I previously mentioned, some pretty fun sectional final matchups as it kind of looks like Unioto and Fairfield Union are going to have a rematch, and we talked about how Fairfield Union took them down in the regular season. Now Fairland's still there, and they have a match later on this week, which we'll talk about here in a little bit with Chesapeake, and they might win the OVC outright or have a share with Chesapeake. I believe they're the Panthers, correct?
Chesapeake Panthers, yes.
There we go.
They were... especially in the 90s, were in OVC power in boys basketball. They made a state tournament run, I believe, in 2010 in the boys. Haven't heard a ton about their girls' sports, but it seems like this volleyball team's been excellent for them this season.
And even, like the MSL has a pretty good chance to represent on the district stage because, if Fairfield Union is able to take down Fairland and get past Unioto, that would set up a district semifinal with potentially Circleville, and one of those teams has to go to the district final. And then, if Logan Elm is able to take down Miami Trace, get past Sheridan, then you're probably going to have to play Marietta or Warren. You could get to the district final as well, and could have a little MSL action in the district final.
We don't have a nickname for it yet.
Yeah, we don't. Shaction is about all we have. We don't have anything else.
We can throw faction in, but that's very unoriginal.
Well, and the faction is like an actual word, so it's not as funny.
Yes.
It's like Maction or Shack. Shaction is top tier. That's awesome. So diving into a little bit of D3 now, I would say this is this is more or less our deepest in terms of our coverage area. I believe now for the second year in a row, South Webster's drawn the 1 seed. It may be for 3 years in a row because I know they had a good team 2 years ago as well.
When they were D4, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. So they jumped divisions. So South Webster in the 1 seed, they'll play the winner of Lynchburg-Clay and Wellston. South Point and Alexander, two teams we don't talk about a whole lot. Alexander, obviously, in the TVC. South Point, who is another 13 seed with an 11-6 record, which is pretty remarkable. West 14-4 is a 6 seed. They'll play either Rock Hill or Federal Hocking. Minford 14-6 as a 7 seed. Wheelersburg draws a 2 seed, which we've talked about them and how their only 2 losses on the season are both to South Webster. Everybody else they've been able to handle. Chesapeake, a team who we just got done talking about, draws the 11 seed. They'll play Peebles, who's 12-6 as a 14 seed. Adena 11-7 as a 5 seed. Westfall draws the 8 seed at 10-7, and then Nelsonville York had a great year, 17-2 as the 3 seed. And then also some shaction there is North Adams and Fairfield will face off for the second time this season as they're on opposite ends of the SHAC, so they only play once. North Adams as the 10 seed, Fairfield as the 15. Southeastern draws a 4, Huntington draws a 9, and Zane Trace draws a 16.
Yeah, so I know Southeastern's record is much better than Adena, but coming into the draw, Adena had beat them for 2 of their 3 losses. So
I would say the win over Union was pretty big.
Yeah, and having the less losses. But, man, Adena's schedule is very difficult.
Well, they opened with South Webster. Yeah. They either opened or it was...
It was their first, and they're up 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ended up, they were the closest team to beat South Webster this year.
The only team I believe they're the only team that's taken 2 sets,
So the good thing for our area is there are actually 3 different districts. So if you look at the layout when it would get to the district would be like a South Webster most likely in the district final would play the winner of West and Minford. And that's, assuming some stuff, but you kind of feel good assuming things there. But Wheelersburg in another district final would more than likely play the winner of Adena and Westfall. More than likely going to be...
Those would be at Logan as well, wouldn't they?
Waverly.
Well, the district final...
They're all at Waverly for D3. So
they don't play at Logan now?
Not for Division 3. So
I meant for the regionals.
Oh, at the regionals, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that's changed. But then in the third district would most likely be, let's say, Nelsonville York against the winner of North Adams Fairfield would take on more than likely Southeastern and one of the SVC schools in either Huntington or Zane Trace for some SVC invitational.
There's a lot of SVC schools in the in the D3.
Yeah, so if things work out in the districts, we could have, at the district semifinal level, we could have an SOC 2 matchup between West and Minford. Adena versus Westfall, an SVC matchup, and then another SVC matchup with Southeastern with the winner of Huntington and Zane Trace. So Division III, we get 3 teams out to the regional, so that gives us 3 times the chance to get to the state tournament. It would be nice to see one of our teams get back to that state level after having a year off last year.
Right, and a lot of teams coming up. I think it was South Webster was the last standing with Meadowbrook, and that was I can't remember if that went 5 sets or not.
It was tight. I know that.
Right. Yeah. That Meadowbrook team was
yes.
about as solid as a team as you can have. And I believe the plan now is to have all of those games live streamed, similar to how we did last year at Waverly. So that's kind of an all day, not an all day thing, but a pretty large majority of the days. It gets going pretty early. The first game would be South Webster's bracket. So assuming they're probably going to play Minford or West in the district final. That game will start at 11, and then you kind of figure like 2 hours in between each game, so like 11, and then maybe 1:30, and then whatever 3:30.
Yeah, because you have the rolls start now. Some of them do last longer. I was actually talking to somebody the other night about the change in scoring because you weren't even alive at the time. Hey, you might have been like 1 when they changed to the rally scoring, and the games feel like they go faster, but they actually last a lot longer than they did in the old 3-set side out. So they used to be, to get a point, you had to be serving. And
so if you weren't serving and got a kill, you just got the ball, it didn't count as a point.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, so then you get possession.
There's no way anybody.
They would last. It felt like they lasted.
Probably
forever.
last like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. Like it was Westfall made it to state. They're playing Oroville, home of Bobby Knight.
Oh,
no, well,
Oroville.
yeah, but yeah, the home of Bobby Knight. They had it was like 15-2, 15-0, and it felt like it lasted forever. It was like 58 minutes, but it just felt like it lasted forever.
Set?
No, the 2 sets because they played best 2 out of 3 at that point because you're only playing to 15. So
That's insane. I couldn't imagine.
It was not fun to watch. Like I'm sure it was fun to play, but it was not fun to watch. The rally scoring is so much better.
Yeah. I mean, that'd seriously be like, not exactly the same, but if you got a pick 6, you just had to like take it back to your own 20 because you can't score on defense or something.
Walk-off block field goal return against Chillicothe that got called back because it was in overtime.
Yeah. But D3, one of our deeper divisions in our coverage area, should be a lot of fun. That it's the 28th of October's that all-day event at Waverly, so look out for that. More likely Shane and I, and I'm sure you'll be there as well, and probably Derek, and we'll probably...
Maybe not because
the D2
there's
finals
some soccer stuff that same day.
Oh, okay.
So
and I think the D2 finals are also on the 28th. So I'm pretty sure you may not be there. We may be it may just be me and Shane because we usually don't need a camera guy for
could be pretty
volleyball. So I'm sure our sources, our resources will be pretty spread out on that day. Now we'll look to D4. We go from probably our deepest division to more or less one of the thinner divisions. Is I would say there's a few less teams in here that we typically cover than D2. However, there still are some teams.
Yeah, because there's a lot of TVC hockey in this.
Right. Yeah. So we have, for instance, Southern, who it's TVC Hawking, which, as you mentioned, we don't cover a ton. It's more TVC Ohio. But Southern draws the 1 seed at 16-1. Eastern Pike is an 8 at 8-11. Eastern Reedsville, who really outside of the football game at Notre Dame, we really haven't talked about a whole lot. Who I think are they still like top 5 state ranked in?
I bet they are
their division because I don't know if they've lost.
They lost a game to a team from West Virginia that's undefeated. So I mean.
And then Trimble, once again, another TVC Hawking team we don't talk about a whole lot. New Boston. White Oak draws a 5 seed at 11-7. They'll take on Paint Valley, who's 5-10 as a 12 seed.
Watch for that game.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Paint Valley's playing better.
I mean, we've talked about
they've done well against the SHAC so far.
No, I was going to say we've talked about how like a lot of the SVC schools, like within the SVC, aren't great because you have to play Southeastern, Unioto, and Adena 3 times, and even or not 3 times, but 2 times, and Westfall as well. But like Huntington taking down Notre Dame in 3 sets to start the year off, and Notre Dame is now a 2 seed at 16-3. So that just just kind of show. And what was Huntington's seed? Are they D4?
They're in the 9
for D3.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then Notre Dame will take on South Gallia as the 15 seed. Sims Valley and Green as the 7 and 10 seeds. Western Latham draws the 3 seed at 13 and 6. They have Portsmouth Claims of 14, and then Waterford and Miller, who we don't really cover either of those, as the 6 and 11. So.
Hemlock Miller, I used to think was like way on the side of the state.
I don't even know where that is.
It's like a little north of Logan. Like, it's not remotely close to where I thought it was, because they played in the TVC Hawking for a long time, but now they're not even in it. They play, I don't even know where they play at this point. I just know they're in a different conference, and my buddy Justin Lodge scored 38 points off the bench against them
there we go.
in the sectional semi win. Now, they're one of the smaller schools in our area, and this was 21 years ago.
They are in the Mid-State Cardinal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they're with Fisher Catholic, Fairfield Christian Academy, Byrne Union, Harvest Prep, who surprisingly is not very good at volleyball, currently 0-12, which is sort of surprising for a team that makes his... But we were kind of talking about how, like, some of the schools like Ironton, who are like football powerhouses, like, really aren't great. I mean, we talk about how they're kind of okay at basketball, and they even made a district semifinal or final appearance against Wheelersburg at the VA in the spring, but I'm not sure that game was very competitive. I can't exactly remember
it. Well, their best pitcher had Tommy John surgery before, so that didn't help. So
it's not going to do you any favors.
Yeah, but so in Division 4, like, we don't hear a lot about a lot of these teams. We don't talk about them a lot, but I will say, watch that White Oak and Paint Valley game. I don't know if Paint Valley will get them, but
they played during the regular season, didn't they?
I think so. I'm not 100%. Like, I don't get updates.
I'm pretty sure they did play, because I think we were previewing a White Oak game because they were playing like Fairfield or somebody who was atop the SHAC, and I think I saw on there that they had a match with Paint Valley, because I think those two schools are
they're pretty close.
Relatively close. So Paint Valley they opened with White Oak. First game of the year. White Oak took it in straight sets, 3-0. Okay. That was at White Oak, but that was also on August 28th, and it is now October 11th. So it's been a little while, nearly 3 months. So we'll see kind of how that.
Now, I will say for Paint Valley, at least that's a easy drive. I mean, they could have got the 13th seed and gone to Trimble, which isn't as terrible as if they got the 11th seed and had to go to Waterford. So Waterford is the last school on the north side of the district.
And Paint Valley also has a match tonight, being Wednesday, at home against Fairfield. So that'll be interesting to see it. On Max Preps, it says 9:20 p.m. I'm assuming that's probably incorrect, although a lot of schools are out for... I know I am. I don't know if high schools are out for fall break.
Well, they'll have the Fall Festival of Leaves coming up.
You get out for that?
I don't know. They might.
I doubt it.
I know it's a big thing in Bainbridge.
Oh, so then maybe. I'm sure Circleville gets out for the pumpkin show. Well,
they all do.
What do you mean?
The whole county does.
Oh, so like Logan Elm and all of them?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk. Man, we just got completely
sorry,
off
D4.
topic.
We'll talk more when we when we know a little bit more as the sectional draws come up. Or
it's hard to. I mean, we try to keep these podcasts to like a maximum of 90 minutes. So if we were to dive into every single, and especially for sports like volleyball and soccer where everybody makes the tournament, it's sort of hard to cover every single team. So, my only advice would be like win a game and make it to the next round, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into your team, because it's hard to cover every single team that makes the tournament. It's a little easier for football because not everybody makes it, even though a lot more teams make it now than what it used to be.
Yes.
But anyway,
it's too many.
Anyway. We'll dive into some impact players from the previous week and a few from this week as well. We've talked about Circleville a little bit already when we were talking about the D2 tournament. One of their star players, Gabby McConnell, reached 1,000 digs. Currently, Circleville is 18-4, finished 12-12 in the MSL for McConnell on the season. She's second on the team with 158 kills, leads the team with 245 digs, and is second on the team with 349 assists. I feel like that would be a team high for a lot of teams. They're the number 3 seed in the tournament. They'll play the winner of McLean and River Valley on the 18th. So pretty good year for Circleville. It's tough when you have to play Bloom Carroll twice, and sort of similar to Wheelersburg in the SOC too, except they did have 2 non-league losses. Like pretty much anybody else besides Bloom Carroll, they handled pretty well. I mean, they've had to play Fairfield Union twice, and then you also have to play Logan Elm a couple of times, and they were able to handle both of those. I believe one of their non-league losses were to Unioto as well, and I think that was one of those best of 3 things. So I don't know. I'm surprised they count those against the record. I'm surprised those just aren't just kind of like scrimmages in a way.
Because you're playing. Let's say you're playing football. You're playing 3 quarters,
right, or a half.
Yeah,
I mean. Let's be honest. In high school, well, I won't
baseball,
say that.
You're playing a 5-inning game. I hate 5-inning baseball games.
Well, I mean, it was 7 innings there in the MLB during COVID. Yeah. They'd play the doubleheaders 1 9-inning, or was it 1 9-inning, 1 7-inning, or just 2 7-innings? That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's insane. I can't believe they did that.
That whole year was a little nuts.
But one other player that reached 1,000 digs was Adena's Brooke Bossert. Has the Warriors as a 5 seed. They'll play the winner of Valley and Belpre on the 19th.
Yeah, Bossert came on as a sophomore and started to play a good bit in the back row. She's in the libero role now. I don't think she was in it last year, but she may have been to where she's always on the court. But she's very athletic on the back row, along with her twin sister Brenna. They both do a really good job. Cameron Sowers is a sophomore or junior that's really came on strong for them. Haley Howard, another senior. But I was kind of surprised when this came out. She did this on Tuesday against Paint Valley. I thought she had already gotten there because she played a lot of big matches as a sophomore when they went to state. They made it to the regional again last year. So she's an outstanding player for the Warriors. But I will say this, they are very tight on their stats. Like you gotta get it. Like you're not gonna dig just, like some people
gotta earn it.
Yeah. Some people might just hand them out. Like some people hand out like assists in basketball. It's just, like you got to really get it for Adena, and they really break down their stuff, and they take it very serious. So it's a big accomplishment for Brooke Bossert over there at Adena, and like you mentioned, as the 5 seed, it's a team that they've got a chance to make another run at the regional. We'll kind of see. They got a tough matchup with it'd be a Wheelersburg team that is playing very well with only 2 losses. So.
Right, and then another SVC senior that reached a 1,000 milestone, however, not in digs. This was in assists. This was Westfall's Jaylyn Wippel. Currently, the Mustangs, as the 8 seed, will play also on the 19th, the winner of Eastern Brown and Northwest. So both of these SVC schools with relatively favorable matchups in the sectional semifinals. However, I think Northwest had, if I remember correctly, like a really big win over one of the SHAC schools. I think it may have been North Adams. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the SVC with the SOC too, where it's like, you're playing these teams. They might have bad records, but they're also playing these volleyball machines.
West and Southwestern all the time.
Yeah. So Westfall will definitely need to be ready for that. But Wippel has done a really good job. She's another one that she started to play a lot early in her sophomore year, and then they went back to a 5-1 in the second half of that year. But she took over as a starting setter last year and has really done a good job for them setting up that offense. They have a really good attack at the net with Aubrey Clark and Lauren Blackburn. They do a really good job. And she does a great job of setting them up, and that's why the Mustangs have the record they do. And they're another team that plays a really tough schedule, so they're going to be ready for anything come tournament time. They played Adena last week, fairly tight for a couple of the sets, but Adena ended up running away with one of them. But it's a if Adena doesn't take them serious, which they will.
That one they've played them. Yeah, they've played them twice, and they have beat. For Adena, their only league losses are to Unioto, correct?
Yes.
So, played them twice. Sometimes it's tough to beat them a third time, so we'll see what happens there. If they end up matching up, I think that would be in the sectional final.
It'd be district
semis when they would meet up.
Yep,
so
down at Waverly.
Oh, okay. Those were on the 23rd or 25th.
That one, let me check.
Because I know D2 and D4 were 2 days apart.
It would be on the Tuesday, so the 24th. So South Webster District is on the 23rd. The Wheelersburg District, which is with Adena and Westfall, would be on the 24th. And the 25th would be the Nelsonville.
I'm looking at D2. That's why I'm thinking it's 20. So D2 is on the 23rd.
Come on, Dog.
For district semifinals, it still says 10:23.
Where are you at?
Oh, wait, that's also.
Yeah.
Do I have two D? Oh, I'm all over the place.
You might want to stop talking.
I'm all over the place. So, are we done?
Yes.
All right.
And we got a big game coming up.
Week. So, one of our only noteworthy games coming up this week, I think, is the only really match where the league title is up for grabs, and that's down in the Ohio Valley Conference. Is Fairfield? Check that, as Fairland and Chesapeake will match up.
Dragon fans.
Match up on. Sorry, Ricky. We'll match up on Thursday, and I've seen he's doing stuff with Chesapeake too.
Yes.
So these are like both of his domains, if you will. But this match is Thursday night. With a win for Fairland, they would have the outright OVC title. For Chesapeake, it would be a two-way tie for first with them and Fairland. Both teams would be 12-2 in the league. For Fairland, they had a big win. It was kind of the other team in contention for the league on Tuesday night over Gallia. That was in a 4-set victory. They've now split the season series with Gallia, and that's really their only league loss on the season for Fairland. I think Chesapeake has lost once to Gallia and then once to Fairland as well. But for Fairland, these are some names we've talked about a little bit this year. I know we haven't talked a whole lot of OVC volleyball, but when we have, it has normally and typically been Fairland. But Kylie Bruce and Chloe Mayo are two of their top hitters. Macy Workman leads the team with 544 assists on the year. And then for Chesapeake, Dakota Cameron and Hannah Webb. I'm interested if there's any relation to Derek there, but two top senior hitters for the Panthers. Chesapeake, one of those teams that runs a 6-2. So Aaron Lowe with 296 assists, Miley Hall with 213, and both of those players are sophomore and junior, so they'll have both of them back next year. Should be an interesting matchup. I'm not sure if we'll have anybody there. We probably should, considering it's for the OVC title, but we'll see.
Yeah, because I think we're going all out for the soccer tomorrow. Because as of now, I believe Derek is with us down at Minford, but I haven't double checked on that. But so a lot of volleyball coming up, and we'll talk even more and get you more prepared for tournament action again next week and review any big games from this week. And we'll talk about the league champions next week as well. So because some schools have clinched a share now.
Some schools, well, really for a large majority, most of the leagues are pretty much wrapped up. So we'll do a little celebration. Yeah, next week should be pretty busy because we'll have all the league winners, and then we'll also have a little bit of a deeper dive into how the tournament. Actually, I don't believe the tournaments will be too deep. Maybe the sectional quarterfinals will be done, but that's about it. So, should be a fun time next episode. Not next episode, but 2 episodes from now when we have all the league winners wrapped up. So we'll jump into some stickball now, or golf is more people call it.
So, looking at the district champions for the teams that are going to be representing the Southeast District at the state tournament, I believe it's still at Ohio State, but don't quote me on that. It's a difficult course.
Tough course, yeah.
So one thing that I hadn't really noticed until tonight was how tight the Division III race was at the Elks Country Club down in Portsmouth, where West Union won with a score of 339. to advance to next week's state. Everything down there was tight. Second place, North Adams, 340. Third place, Waterford, 341. So you had, and honestly, West Union, their fifth man, who would have been the tiebreaker, shot a 121. So they got lucky that that tiebreaker didn't come down to it. But yeah, they
shot a 121.
Yeah, I'd be pumped to shoot a 121 at this point. I'm not very good.
I'm not either. Whatever.
Yeah. So also at
man.
Also at that, this is I'm gonna complain a lot here in a few minutes. I'm gonna wait, but Cameron Phillips from Valley shot a 70 and won on a playoff. I believe it was on the first hole as he defeated South Webster's Owen Malt to reach the state tournament with a 70. So keep that in mind. Yeah. So moving on to another one, staying on the boys' side, for the team champion was the Wheelersburg Pirates. They shot a 328, just edging out Sheridan for the district title, who shot a 331. Now, two teams and two individuals made it out of Division II. Now, I know this is because there's more teams in the district, which is why the thing I'm going to complain about here in a few minutes happens. So their Brady Gill shot a 75 to win the district. And then also qualifying as an individual was Unioto's Charlie Lewis, who shot a 77, and Logan Elm's Grant Klein, who shot a 79, but won. Let me double check this. I don't know if it's 4 or 5 players. Won a 4-way tie to advance to the state. Mm-hmm. And he won on the second playoff hole. So
where was that played at?
That was played at Crown Hill.
Nice. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah. So on the boys' side, it's Grant Klein, Logan Elm, Charlie Lewis, Unioto, and the Wheelersburg boys. And then moving on to the Division II girls at JC's. This one was also tied at the top. Westfall wins another district as they'll make it to the state tournament. They shot a 358, just edging out Circleville, who shot a 361. Now, that one was kind of up in the air after last week. Circleville won the sectional, and Westfall got second there. So we knew that was going to be pretty tight. Now, Taylor Ralston from Manchester, who I believe you talked about
couple
earlier.
Times, yeah.
Shot a 70 to advance to the state tournament.
I already knew where this was going.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. I'm not going to say names, but I'm going to shout out our kids in our area instead of talking about the other places. And now I know it comes down to how many schools are in each district, which is how many qualifiers they get, individuals and whatnot. In Division III boys, Owen Malt shot a 70. It doesn't qualify for state.
That's under par.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, it depends where you play, but because it is.
I don't even care how easy it is, because that's still, a par 72 is still.
Well,
I guess, yeah, that's what you mean. But
I'm saying it's either 2 under, or like, even not most places are par 72 most of the time,
but yeah, so. Owen Malt does not qualify, even though it's a 70.
If I shot 2 under par and didn't advance,
I'd be fired up.
Oh, somebody, I'd be Happy Gilmore. Somebody'd be getting clotheslined into a pond or something.
And then we move on, and I had made a big deal about one player, which was Adena Sydney Free, because she shot a 70. Sydney Ader. She shot a 73, tied with Paige Weiss for second overall, and Weiss advanced with the team, but. Elena Seeley from Circleville shot at 74 also. Now, here's where it gets bad. In the Northwest, there was a player that shot a 95 that qualified for the state. Now,
so do you just have to have, you're limited to so many people from certain regions?
Yeah, because it comes down to how many players are playing in that district. So the fact that we don't have that many schools, we only get the one advancement. But why not have it your top 4 qualifiers go play a qualifying round at the state? Because I'm sure the golf courses where they shot a 95 are very difficult. But put it up against, the kids that shot a 73, 74 and give them a chance to qualify on their own. Because
I mean, I know like the difficulty of courses can vary, but I feel like 20 strokes is
a big difference.
Like, I feel like for most people that are good at golf, like you might see a 5 to 6 stroke difference, not 20.
Well, it's not like one's playing at a par 3 and one's playing at like
Augusta.
Yeah. So like that's when it would make way more sense. Right. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I had said I'd put it out there on the Twitter or the X, whatever, that, it was unfair to the Southeast District, and I still think it is, but also the Central District, because they don't have that many teams, also only had one individual qualifier. So it's just, I feel like they just need to redo it, because I just don't think it's fair to the kids. Yes, maybe the teams in our district don't show out very well when they get to the state, which is, fairly true. Like honestly, but like the individuals, like it shouldn't be held against the individuals because there's not that many teams in the area.
I mean, I feel like for the most part, golf isn't going to be I've never been to a high school tournament event, so I don't know, like, for sure. I'm just speaking off of what I think it's been. I would assume golf isn't the largest, especially high school golf isn't the largest draw.
Yeah.
Because, like, with some other sports, like football and basketball, even soccer a little bit, you're going to draw some people that just like to watch the sport. I feel like with golf at the high school level, you're not going to draw. And, like, most of the courses that high schoolers are playing at, now, obviously, once you get to Ohio State, that's a bit different because they hold, like, the nationwide tournament there and everything. But, like, Crown Hill, like, that's not built.
Corn Ferry. It's not nationwide.
Well, I'm saying it's a nationwide children's tournament. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, but it's the Corn Ferry Tour.
Well, yeah, it's the Corn Ferry
Tour. It used to be the nationwide tour.
But I'm saying tournament there, it's like, because my dad volunteered at it for a while. It's like the Nationwide Children's Hospital Open or something. But like a course like that is built for people to follow golf, like Crown Hill, JC's. I mean, they could walk on the cart path, but like for the most part, it's just not a course that's built. They're not going to put bleachers. Like they're not going to have like a big stadium hole or anything like that. So just a little bit of a different atmosphere when you go from, down here in Ross County or Pickaway or wherever it's at up to Franklin County or any of those courses in there. Yeah.
So there's our golf update. We'll have some updates next week for the state tournament and how these golfers do. I hope you shoot low and just play well.
All right, so we'll look at boys soccer now. Some game reviews from the last week. Really, it's just one game review and then a look at a three-headed race over in the SHAC Love Shaction. Yes. But for Zane, Trace, and Athens, it was a 1-1 tie. That game was last Wednesday. A bit of a tough stretch to end the week for the Pioneers as they had to take on Athens. Now, both of these games were at home, so that always makes it a little easier. But you had Athens on Wednesday and then Wheelersburg on Saturday. Now, I think if you told them that they were only going to give up 3 goals between those two games, they'd probably take that just about every time, especially when you have a team like Wheelersburg with Max Hagans, who's, 40-ish, over 40 goals on the year. And then I can't name drop anybody for Athens, but I know they're atop the TVC. But you tie...
Andy Pigman.
There we go.
Yeah.
But you tie Athens 1-1, and then you drop to Wheelersburg 2-1. Not a bad look. They got a 5-0 win over Waverly, which I think you were...
No,
I was at Westfall and Waverly.
I was at Westfall Waverly last week.
But they get back in the win column. They actually have a game tonight being Wednesday, against Miami Trace, and then they wrap it up with Ironton St. Joe and Fairfield. But tough stretch in terms of just straight competition in the week for ZT last week.
Yeah, so they really, so this was supposed to be a week before, but it got pushed back because of a lack of officials. I think we kind of mentioned that on last week's show. Like, we need more officials overall, but, especially in soccer, because there's a lot of good games out there that just are either, if you're a bad official, don't listen, poorly officiated, or they just don't have them. Or, even the officials that are still improving, they're getting stretched kind of thin on these games. So for Zane Trace, they actually took the lead early. Brock Jarrell had a penalty kick to give them a 1-0 lead that they took into the half. And into the second half, they actually were up 1-0. about halfway through, there was a handball called in the box, which, Athens steps to the line and they kick it to the player's right, Judah Hanks' left. Hanks comes up with a big save, knocks it down, is able to dive on it, keeps it at a 1-0 lead. But only a couple minutes later, Athens had a corner kick set up and a shot was deflected. Think the hockey goal where the guy who's shielding the goalkeeper just touches it past him. It was one of those goals. Zane Trace had a kind and civilized discussion with the official about it. But from my viewpoint, which I was very close, it appeared that the player was at least not making contact with the goalie at the time. It was just kind of a tough luck way to lose that lead. It ends up a 1-1 tie. You mentioned that game against Wheelersburg. They're actually winning 1-0 against Wheelersburg. Reese Allen, which might be the comeback story of the year. Like, he dislocated his kneecap 3 weeks ago, and he's already playing. And that's, to me, made a huge difference because if you look back a couple weeks ago, they had moved Jordan Harrington from the defense where he'd been starting for 4 years up to the offense, and they go down to Southwestern and give up 6 goals, lose 6-3 in a game that they were down 3-0 at the half or 4-0 at the half, so it wasn't really competitive. When Allen comes back, they're able to move Harrington back to defense. It's made them much stronger in that aspect of their team. So, that's, to me, one of the big standouts for them. They're actually leading Wheelersburg late. Wheelersburg gets 2 goals in the last 20 minutes to win that game 2-1. So, speaking of tough weeks, though, Athens. Tuesday, our Carson Francis was in Athens.
TVC beat reporter.
Yeah, TVC beat reporter Carson Francis was at Athens. They put it on Guy Academy, who's had a really nice season, but I believe it was 6-0. Yeah. Then Wednesday, they go to Zane Trace, tie 1-1. Then Thursday, we're just going to get right back on the bus and go to Minford, who's a very good team, and they end up winning that game. They were able to save 2 penalty kicks against Minford, and I believe that one was 2-1. It may have been 3-2, but either way, our Derek Webb was at that game. So 3 of our soccer reporters watched them last week, as I saw them on Wednesday. So a tough week for Athens, but they definitely showed that they deserve the 2 seed, as they also got Fairfield Union in the head-to-head, which we'll talk about here in a minute also. But kind of a teaser you threw out there, a probable 3-way tie in the SHAC. North Adams and Fayetteville Perry. Too bad you didn't pick Fayetteville in this sport. Both finished their league race at 6-1, while Lynchburg is sitting at 4-1 with 2 league games left to go. But they're both games that they are
Ripley and West Union.
Yeah, with West Union 2-3, Ripley 0-6. They should win those 2 games. So more than likely going to have a 3-way tie at the top of the SHAC. So very interesting league over there this year with Fayetteville beating North Adams, or Fayetteville beating Lynchburg, Lynchburg beating North Adams, and North Adams beating Fayetteville. So it's
Well, it's always interesting when you're going to have a league winner who finishes their league schedule 6-1, and their overall record is going to be 7-7-3, as they'll finish the non-league, which I believe now they are. No, they have. I guess they have Portsmouth West in the tournament, which they should probably win that game.
Yeah.
Although
West is playing better.
I did not see what West's final 5-8-3. I think we said that may have been the most wins they've had in a while.
In a long time. Yeah.
But for Lynchburg, they're going to finish the season, the non-league, at 1-6-3.
Yeah, but they go out and challenge themselves big time in that non-league. So
Georgetown, Western Brown, Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, Claremont Northeastern. I've never even heard of them.
They're if you drive down Route 50, you go through Fayetteville, you hit Claremont Northeastern. Okay, so I'm going to throw out a Claremont Northeastern story. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
We're playing the Rockets, and I think it was the Western Brown.
Wellston?
No.
Oh, Toledo.
No, the Claremont Northeastern.
Oh, they're the
Rock-
Golden Rocket? Oh,
yeah, they're just the
Rockets.
So we're getting ready to play the Rockets. This is when I'm coaching at Wilmington. We're getting ready to play the Rockets, and they have a girl on their team.
It's kind of like how Valley has had.
Well, baseball. So we're getting ready to play them, and we go out to the umpires meeting after we take infield and everything, and the coach brings the girl up to the meeting and says, "All right, everybody, this is Olivia." And I'm like, "What is going on?" And like, one of our kids before we played them told me that they had just done a story on her because she played
probably the first girl to ever play
and she
or whatever.
Like, she was like legitimately good too. So she played, I believe she played on like the national girls baseball team, which I didn't know was a thing, but like her dad's a hitting coach down, like has worked with the Reds. So
okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
But it was still like, it was really weird.
I forgot Claremont County is kind of down that way.
Then I find out later that in the league that CNE is in, they will bring a player to hear the ground rules at a new place, which is why he did it. And it wasn't because she was this celebrity. Sadly, she had pitched the night before varsity.
Oh, she's pitched?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, she had pitched varsity, so she only played center field against us. And I think we won on a walk-off in that game.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nice way to end the...
Cane Pride, baby.
There we go. So we'll dive into some tournament talk for the boys tournament. Only D2 and D3 for soccer on both sides, as for volleyball they have D2, 3, and 4. But for D2, we've kind of touched on how Marietta draws the 1 seed, but they're really not exactly in our coverage area. But I'm assuming a lot of our area teams are going to be matched up with them down the stretch here.
Yeah, and I believe Athens, Fairfield Union, and Unioto all played them this year. So, and they all did not fare well.
And really, it looks like the first area team that's going to get a chance is either going to be Logan Elm and Westfall, as those two teams play in the sectional quarterfinal. And then,
hey, you win that game. Congratulations! You get to go on the bus for 2.5 hours to play Marietta.
That's tough.
Like that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part about the.
At 6 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's my only problem with the district wide seating is because you get stuff like that. So it happens.
And after that, Minford draws the 8. They'll take on Warren at a 9. What, Minford is an 8?
Yep.
9 and 2.
Yep, 9, 2, and 2. I mean,
Unioto is a 4 at 9 and 4.
Well, that's not so much because Unioto scheduled up 3 of their losses are to the 3 teams finished above them.
Oh, Athens, Fairfield Union, and Marietta.
Yeah, but Minford, last night they beat Jackson, which
they did also have a tie with West.
Yeah, well, that's true. But they beat South Webster and tied them. Jackson lost to South Webster.
There's Jackson. Oh, Jackson's a 7 seed.
Yeah, Jackson's a 7 seed. And Jackson also beat Gallia at the beginning of the year. So,
and Gallia's among
Gallia was the 6th.
Top-ish teams in the OVC, yeah.
Like, Minford should have been really like the 6th. Instead, they get Warren, who played Unioto tight. I think they're going to be the better team in that game, but I mean, it's like, welcome to Division 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because of, like, they didn't know they were going to be Division 2 until after they made the schedule. But yeah, Minford definitely got kind of the shaft on the scheduling on that, or the seating.
That is going to be a busy day in
Yes.
in our coverage areas. We'll have boys soccer D2 finals at Zane Trace, and then we'll have girls volleyball. I don't know why I say girls. So we do have boys volleyball some places.
That's spring.
But we'll have volleyball district finals also on the 28th at Southeastern and Waverly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I haven't even looked. And then D3 boys, there's stuff down at Jackson. And then looks like both girls are the 26th at Waverly. So that's the day before. D2 is actually at Logan, and then D3 is at Waverly. So
yeah, now
that 3-day stretch there is.
I'm just wondering what happens. Just go ahead. Go ahead with the rest of the seedings on this, and then I'll bring it up.
We talked about Unioto as a 4. They'll play the winner of Circleville and Sheridan. Kind of a tale of two teams there. Sheridan, the 1 seed, and in volleyball, and now they're down at the 20-seeded 0-12-1. I'm actually kind of curious who. Yeah, here you can do that as kind of a find out who Sheridan tied with.
Gotcha.
And then I lost my bracket. And then Zane Trace draws a 5. They'll play the winner of Miami Trace and Piketon. Athens at the 2 plays the winner of McLean and Waverly. Jackson at the 7 plays Fairland, who's a 10 seed. Fairfield Union as a 3 seed will play the winner of Alexander and New Lexington. And then Gallia at 6 and Hillsborough at 11 wrap up the Division II tournament for the Southeast 1 and 2 districts.
Okay. I don't want to make light. They've won 2 games since.
Sheridan?
Yeah. They tied Lakewood 2-2. They beat New Lexington. That was going to be my guess. They beat them 6-3, and they beat Philo.
They beat New Lexington?
Yeah.
I guess New Lexington is just 1 seed higher than them.
They beat New Lexington 6-3.
Does New Lex have a win? Because on here, they're 2-11.
Yeah.
Well, 2-12
and then they beat
probably.
Philo. It's electric. They're the Electrics. 2-0 last night. Now, here's...
Rolling into the tournament.
Yeah. So they played Circleville already, lost 4-3. A lot of their games are fairly close. Fairly low scoring. It's a very young program. I can tell you that much for Sheridan. So, good luck to them. As that's and Circleville ended up, they're the 13th seed. If you saw their schedule, you'd know why. But they had came off a season where they just really struggled last year, really struggled, and they kind of broke things down. They dropped some of the better teams from their schedule. They still played their league schedule, which they did not do very well in the MSL, but they did a good job of, getting wins. And that's one of the ways you can rebuild a program is by just winning some games. And if they can get a chance to play in a district final, that can be a really good thing for them. But the thing I wanted to kind of point out was...
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have an extra D2?
Yeah, so Zane Trace got themselves up to the 5 seed, which I think was a good bit with, that performance against Athens. Them and Unioto can match up in the district semifinal, which Unioto's beat them the last 6 years. Reese Allen's healthy. He got hurt in the Unioto game. Now, it was a freak injury thing. But when he got hurt, it was 0-0.
And that was at ZT.
At ZT. So let's say Zane Trace wins that game. Where's the district final going to be? Because right now, district final is set for Zane Trace. Do they get to play Marietta at home in the district final?
I don't see why not.
Right.
I mean, it would be.
It's already scheduled.
Wasn't it? Was it the Saints who played the or the Rams just a couple years ago?
Yeah, Rams played the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Didn't the Saints play in New Orleans? I thought.
I think the Rams was the first time. I think the Saints lost some awful way. It was the first time the Rams went to the Super Bowl. It was going to be in the Superdome. Yeah, so they should have went.
I knew the Rams did it, but the Rams typically, even when they have home games, the away team overshadows them, and the Rams don't show out very well. All the LA teams don't.
Yeah, so I think with Fairfield Union has a very favorable draw to get to the district final where they would take on Athens again. Outside of Unioto Zane Trace, I'm not really sure could possibly be a upset in that district semifinal. But Minford, they're going to play. They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. Miles Montgomery, an outstanding scorer. They have a really good defense. We will see them tomorrow night, tonight, whatever.
Right.
And
Thursday night.
Yeah, should be that's going to be a really big game. Minford and Warren, Jackson, Fairland. I'm not real high on the OVC in soccer.
So where are the D2 district finals played at? It says TBD.
The district semis probably be Logan.
Logan?
That'd be my guess.
Because the only reason I asked
2 different spots.
Well, it says roll on the time, which is why I'm assuming the 2 of them are in the same.
Yeah,
each district won't be in the same spot, but 2 games will be.
My guess is I will say Jackson and Logan, and they will more than likely if Jackson advances, that one will play at Logan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump into some D3 boys soccer now. Wheelersburg, no surprise there, draws the 1 seed. Did Wheelersburg tie with Webster?
Tie with Northwest.
Northwest.
That was the fall game.
Yeah, that was the fall game. I forgot about that. So Northwestern, wow. So Wheelersburg draws the 1 seed at 13-0-1. They'll play the winner of New Boston and Rock Hill. Peoples and Valley as the 8-9 seed. They'll play, obviously, the winner of Wheelersburg and whoever wins that sectional quarterfinal. South Point, who we'll see this Friday, just not on the pitch. It'll be on the turf down at Portsmouth. They draw the 4 seed. They'll play the winner of West Union and Wellston. Those are the 13 and 20 seeds. North Adams and Portsmouth as the 5 and 12 seeds. Northwest, a bit of a comeback in the second half of this season, draws the 2 seed at 12-3-1. They'll play the winner of Belpre and Eastern Brown. Lynchburg-Clay is the 7 seed at 4-6-3. Portsmouth West draws the 10 seed, avoids the sectional quarterfinal at 5-5-3 at the time of the seeding. South Webster is a 3 at 9-3-1, and then Ironton, St. Joe, and Fairfield rounded out as the 6 and 11 seeds. But for the SOC too, you get a 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
And they should be. Like, in all honesty, it's a league that they are very good in league and in the non-league. South Webster actually just beat Northwest 2-1 on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
probably would have been one of our match reviews if the tournament wasn't coming up.
Yeah. So, I think South Webster, it is a tough draw though with Ironton St. Joe. They're going to be a lot bigger and stronger than St. Joe, but St. Joe's really skilled. I think another interesting matchup, Peebles and Valley. Valley has played a really tough schedule. Peebles is playing really well lately. It's a either way that the winner gets the reward of Wheelersburg in the district, but I think that should be a interesting match for sure. North Adams hasn't played super well outside of the league. They should be pretty favored over Portsmouth, but Portsmouth having maybe their best season ever. I mean, with 7 wins, that's, because they've been in and out of having a program for a long time. So that one could be one to just keep an eye on just because, it's, Portsmouth playing in probably their biggest soccer game maybe ever because, it's a sectional final. So should be interesting. I won't be surprised if it's, South Point, North Adams versus Wheelersburg, and then, Northwest and South Webster again. But anything can happen, and likely anything does happen. Yeah.
So some impact players from the previous week, more or less just from this entire season. We'll start with Max Hagans, who actually broke the Wheelersburg school record for career goals. I'm assuming, I don't know what the single season record is, but for sure the career.
I think he broke the single season last year.
He had like 49. Yeah.
But Aaron Jolly may have had, that's whose career record he broke. Aaron Jolly may have had more last year, or his last season, which was when they made it to state, which was Hagen's freshman year. So that wasn't it was not a long-standing record. No. But man, Aaron Jolly was fun to watch. He was
jolly good fella.
Yeah. But yeah, Max Hagans breaks that Wheelersburg school record, which is, if you know anything about soccer in the Southeast District, before they made it to state, 3 seasons ago, they were one of the best programs in the state to not make it to the Final Four. So it's been a program that started with Coach Paul Bowl years ago, and they would put up a ton of goals. And one of the stats I'm going to go over with Lucas Haynes here in a minute is, he's behind 3 guys in career assists where they've just had just great goal scorers, great passers in the past. And, for Max Hagans to break that school record is really impressive. Congratulations to him. He'll come up on, I believe he may have already broken the Sauter County record, which was only 3 more goals at that point. So it's been a whale of a career, and he's got a chance to finish with an undefeated regular season on Thursday.
And then, as you sort of leaned into already, Lucas Haynes now with 130 career goals. That is 12th in the state, second in the Southeast District, also with 66 assists. That's tied for 33rd in the state, fourth in the district as well.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, he's behind 3 Wheelersburg players in career assists, which his next one he'll tie Jeff Given, who I believe was the Zane Trace boys coach for a couple of seasons a couple of years ago. And then the Sampson brothers are at 71 and 73. So, I mean, those are kind of within reach, but he's got one regular season game left and then a couple of, I will say at least 2 tournament games, because I think they'll get to the district for a big rivalry game there. But yeah, so 130 goals. Hagans is going to come up close to that. I think he's going to make a little deeper run than Unioto will. But yeah, Haynes is 4 goals away from entering the top 10 in career goals, which would be a heck of an accomplishment, especially, you know, they made a deep run as a freshman and sophomore. And he's just been, you know, even as a sophomore, he was the go-to guy for them as they get to the state tournament. And it was like just watching him kind of carry them, carry the goal scoring load while the rest of the team did an outstanding job defending, was really impressive as a sophomore. And then, you know, he's just kind of kept that going since then.
And back to Hagans a little bit coming up tomorrow night. For when this comes out, it'll be 2 nights. So it'll be Thursday night, Wheelersburg at Minford, a big soccer game in the SOC2. We'll have that on live stream for the first time in the history of, at least on the YouTube channel. Anyway. Yeah, I know we had some Facebook streams.
Yeah, we had Facebook streams
when I wasn't around. But,
yeah, it was. Hey, it went out. Some people watched.
But Wheelersburg and Minford will have both the girls, which is actually for the SOC2 title, and then the boys game not as much, but still should be a pretty competitive game. That will actually follow the girls game. So the girls game is slated for 5:30. Boys game will follow. So I don't know if they've done their senior night
already. So there may be at senior night in between. Just kind of depends, you know, with a big end of the season game like that. Maybe don't put it on senior night, but you know, Minford does have a couple of league losses. One of those to Wheelersburg, so they are out of the league race. It's Wheelersburg's won the SOC 2 for the season, but they are 1 win away from a undefeated regular season, because they do have that 1 tie, which would be a very impressive,
especially in the SOC2.
Yeah, with how good that league is. So we wanted to get down there and, you know, give some of our better soccer teams some stream love, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. We're not making any promises, but it's we'll
see how the setup is.
Yeah, it's just kind of, and that's kind of where you're kind of hamstrung on some of it is.
Hamstrung?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Never
I'm old. By, you know, like Unioto has a really nice soccer facility, but there's not really a great place to film from. You know, if you get to the football fields, you know, it's more likely. But at this point in the season, it was kind of, you know, we've had a hard time trying to find time with your schedule, and I'll act like I'm busy as well. But you know, so this should be a fun night of football down in Muletown at Minford.
Muletown?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's something.
I've never heard that either. But for some girls soccer now, we'll look first to some SHAC, a game review from last week. I think it was last Friday. It was when they played. I believe Brock was down there for this one. Lynchburg takes it 5-1 over Fairfield. I believe that wraps up the league in the SHAC for the Mustangs. Second year. Well,
I believe it's the second year, because I think Eastern won it the year before, because Eastern made it to state that year. But yeah, Lynchburg had to have a win because they had a tie in league play, and Fairfield was unbeaten at that point, and they just kind of put it on them. Jade Massey with a hat trick. I believe it was Allie Watts, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm gonna have to look it up really quick. But you know, they get the 5-1 win. It's kind of a soccer factory there for Lynchburg, as they have you know, done some really impressive things down there. Yeah, Allie Watts and Autumn Wilkin had the other goal. Caitlin Collins had 4 saves for the Mustangs. Faith Donnelly scored for Fairfield. Claire Newkirk had 14 saves, so she was under pressure the entire game. So just really impressive for the Mustangs to march through the SHAC, and it looks like they're going to have an excellent chance to finish the regular season undefeated. They have 4 ties, but that happens. As I believe Ripley may be their last league game, and that's on Wednesday night, and that's a game they should win.
Was that game ever tied 1-1, or did
I believe it was
Lynchburg lead the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so really impressive for Lynchburg. Congratulations to them. Fairfield's going to finish second in the league, as they still only have 2 overall losses, and we'll discuss that coming up when we talk about Division III as well.
Yeah. So we'll start with D2 when we look to the girls soccer bracket. Fairfield Union draws the 1 seed at 12-1-1. They'll either play Washington or New Lexington. McLean draws the 9. They'll play Warren, who is at 8. Circleville at the 4 seed plays Waverly at the 13. Now, I did see some pictures the other day from Circleville's girls team. They were holding up some sort of like silver trophy or something. I didn't know if you...
Oh, okay. So
I didn't know what that was, because I knew it wasn't for the league.
You know how Unioto and Zane play for the Roscoe Cup? Circleville and Logan Elm are playing for a trophy now as well, and I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, so, I mean, why not? Honestly, it's...
Trophy games.
It's one of my favorite things in college football, trophy games. Mm-hmm. And, it's something that's...
Even though Ohio State has none, because they haven't played Illinois since, 2017.
Yeah, the Illy Buck.
I love the wooden turtle.
Yeah, so it's... They have a version of the Illy Buck at the Ohio Heritage Museum. Up in Columbus, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the real thing is at the Student Union. I'm in there all the time. I think it probably I've never seen it. But,
yeah, this one was from
this one's from
the 80s. It was all painted on, so I'm guessing it was the last run of that Illibuck.
Well, yeah, because they write on the back of them, so they can only last for so long. But some other teams with some good seedings, well, not really starting off with one, but Miami Trace draws the 12. They'll have Sheridan, who's a 5 seed. Marietta at 2, Gallia at 15, Athens at 7 will take on Hillsborough, who's a 10 seed. Hillsborough picked up a couple big wins in the FAC. Jackson as a 3 seed, they'll take on Logan Elm, who's a 14, and then we wrap it up with Unioto and Fairland, who are 6 and 11 seeds. Most of those games, all of those games are slated for the 19th. Besides the quarterfinal with Washington and New Lex, that's on the 16th.
Yeah, only one game that is not an immediate sectional final. But yeah, so Fairfield Union definitely earned that 1 seed.
Or excuse me, I sectional semifinal.
Yeah, there's only one sectional semifinal, and in some of the district play and volleyball, there's quarterfinals. So it's not always the same. So Fairfield Union has won the district last year. Between them and Unioto, they've been at the top of the Southeast District in Division II over the last decade, and really the last couple of years, Fairfield Union's kind of taken some steps to solidify themselves as the top team in the top program in the area. With Waverly, I watched them against Westfall the other day. Mm-hmm. They're not bad at all. They play in a good SOC, and they're going to come in with, I believe that they are 7-5-1 at this point. It might be 7-6-1.
Did they beat Westfall?
They beat Westfall 3-1. They've got a couple of young kids that are very athletic. Nice midfield play. They have a good defense. Very good goalie. It's a team that could give Circleville some trouble. I think Circleville is probably going to be heavily favored in that game, but it wouldn't be surprising to me to see that one be tight down the stretch and maybe even go to overtime in that. When we talked about Sheridan on the boys' side, as it's, a very new program, it's actually a very new program on the girls' side as well. And they're already at a 5 seed at, 9-2-2. So very impressive job of building that program for them. Sheridan's one of those schools that just kind of seems like they're just...
Besides boys soccer,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Well, I was going to say, on the girls' side, they're very good at
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So, one match to look for, I think, will be if Unioto is able to beat Fairland, them and Jackson in the district, which we would, that one would be played as we're recording next Monday. Yeah. So, but I think that's a game that could be one to watch as Jackson beat them 1-0 early in the season. Unioto has gotten a little healthier.
Well, that wouldn't be next Monday. It'd be
the 23rd.
2 Mondays from now.
So,
but still.
Yeah. So, we'll have probably still not be able to preview it. So, but
unless we preview it next Monday.
Yeah, I got to watch Jackson last night, and I was impressed with them. Maddie Walburn, very good in the goal. Sydney Carpenter scored a couple of goals. It's just they play good defense. They possess the ball pretty well, and it's just there's a reason why they're 13-1-2 at this point. So
they won the FAC for the first time in a little while. So.
I think it's the first time ever since
first time
since it became the FAC. So
okay, I always forget that it's only been a league for whatever 6 years or whatever 2017. So
so it's I think once we get a little further into the play, we'll be able to break it down a little bit more. But I think Fairfield Union and probably Marietta are pretty heavy favorites in that. But once again, that's why you play the game.
All right. Then we'll jump to Division III, back to Lynchburg-Clay. They draw the 1 seed. At the time of the drawing, they were 8-0-4. They'll take on Chesapeake, who's a 16 seed, is currently winless on the season. At the time of the drawing, they were 0-10. South Point draws the 9.
Poor Panthers. Because you got to go a long way for that.
Yeah, all the way to. I wonder how far of a drive that is from
long.
Chesapeake to Lynchburg.
Because you're going along the river. Coming along the river, then you got to get to 32. Are you going to map it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you get to 32, and then you take it all the way, and then you got to take 32 up to Lynchburg when you get to 50. So, hour and 45?
2:06.
Oh, okay.
2 hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah, I actually covered Chesapeake 2 different times, being the SVC guy. One year they played at Zane Trace, and then one year they played at Westfall. Like, they always, I think if you're a Chesapeake girls soccer player, your first round you're traveling.
Right. Yeah. And then Alexander's the 8-9 Alexander's the 8 will take on South Point as the 9. All these games are on the 18th, so those will all be next Wednesday. Then Wheelersburg draws a 4 seed at 9-4-1. They have Northwest, who's 1-11, so not a necessarily long trip for the Mohawks. North Adams draws a 5 seed at 8-4-1. They have Southeastern as a 12 seed. Fairfield, who finishes second in the SHAC, also draws the 2 seed. They'll take on Piketon, who's the 15 seed. Eastern Brown is the 7, has Westfall at 10. Minford at 3 takes Peebles at 14, and then Rock Hill at 6, and Zane Trace at 11 to wrap up the Southeast 1 in D3.
How about Peebles not reporting a record?
I saw that.
Getting the last seed.
I just saw that whenever I was looking on the thing. I just skipped over it. But
yeah, I think Eastern Brown and Westfall could be interesting. Westfall seems to be playing better. I watched them lose 3-0 to Unioto the other day, and like really outside of 2 early goals, they were right in the game. And another one to watch. I think Alexander and South Point should be fun. Alexander has a good defense, but Jasmine Jones can really fill it up for the Pointers. But other than that, I think it's probably going to be pretty much chalk going through. Zane Trace is playing better. They got some more athletes out this year to where they're having a better season, but going to Rock Hill is just kind of miserable for them.
Yeah. How far of a drive is that?
That ain't short. I bet that's at least an hour 45 from Zane Trace because it's
Kenny Connect to Ironton.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give me a minute because apparently,
Studio 33 is losing Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Kenny Connect to Ironton is an hour 18, so somewhere.
Oh, that's the bypass.
Somewhere around there.
Great job, state of Ohio, with that bypass. But still,
used to be an hour 31.
Yeah. So, it's Lynchburg is going to be the heavy favorite to at least get to the district final. But man, Wheelersburg and North Adams as a district semifinal should be outstanding. That was a really good game that I covered down at Wheelersburg a couple weeks ago, and I think that would be another one to watch. Fairfield and Minford could be a really fun district final as well. But for Fairfield, Eastern Brown tied Lynchburg. So
the SHAC was. Man, I'm trying to think of something funny to say. I don't know. The SHAC was intense this year for girls soccer.
Yes.
So one final game preview we have for the week. We've kind of talked about it already. It's Wheelersburg at Minford. This will be for the SOC's 2 title on the girls' side. The last big challenge for both of these teams as we make our way to the tournament.
Yeah, so last year, these two met 3 times. And, they're all battles. This year, they tied in their first one, both 4-0-1 in SOC play with, that final game left to go. And winner takes all. Let's hope it's not a tie.
Yeah. Maybe they'll just agree to.
If they do, they gotta get someone to cut the trophy in half and just give half to each school. Yeah. But so it should be a fun game to stream.
That'll be the opener.
Yeah, that'll be the opener tonight. Pray for us that everything works out.
Hopefully no rain. I haven't checked yet.
Yeah, that should be okay. But
that would not be fun.
It's a beautiful complex down at Minford, so it should be a good atmosphere. All the seating's on one side, but it's kind of leads you down towards the field, and it's just. I only played there once, but I coached there once too, and it's a really good atmosphere. And those are 2 pretty big rivals, so it should be a really fun,
they've
fun
been
match.
Competing all year, they were it was between those 2 teams when we were picking who would win the league, and it was actually like that on both sides.
Yep.
But
and Lexi-Conkle, they're going to do. They did a lot last year to take her away. Wheelersburg did. We'll see how Minford adjusts to that this time, as she's the big goal scorer for the Falcons, but. Wheelersburg does a really good job defensively. Mia Vastine and Bella Miller, Hochstetler. It's a group that can. They're used to winning, and this should be a really fun game for us to stream.
Yeah, first one in the history of the YouTube channel. Well, John, unless you have anything extra you want to add in about the volleyball boys or girls soccer tournaments, it looks like that'll be about all we have on this. I'm assuming long episode here. A lot to cover. It felt like one of the preview episodes just for the tournament instead. But
let's just make sure you get out there and support your teams, especially when we get into tournament play next week.
Yeah, make sure to check out the live stream, and obviously be later on tonight.
Yeah, thanks to McDonald's.
This comes out. Yeah, and also picked up Schmidt. I don't know the Schmidt family of group. Restaurants or something. Yeah, it's B-Dubs and Wendy's, I think, are their main 2.
Anyway. So you'll see those on the stream.
Yeah.
So
a little Caleb Williams commercial.
Yeah. Transfer to Wendy's.
Spice it up. Yeah. What was the sandwich called? I swear it was like a chicken sandwich with a waffle bun.
Oh, it's like a loaded
nacho chicken.
It looks awful.
Come on, man. We're dogging on our sponsor.
No, I'm not going to dog on our sponsor because Andy Reid just wants to try some of those nuggies. Oh, dude. That's our sponsor for overtime.
Is that a Wendy's?
No, that's McDonald's.
That wasn't a McDonald's commercial, was it?
Yeah, because it's
a State Farm commercial.
Oh, whatever.
Because Jake from State Farm's there, and he wants to bundle his burgers with his fries, but also wants to try it with the nuggies.
He has to wear that to the games he goes to?
Because it was him and...
He's got to get paid a lot.
It was, because on TV it was him and Kelsey's mom.
I was going to say, was he with Taylor Swift?
No, he was sitting with, what's her name? Donna Kelsey. They were sitting in the stands.
Oh, was it the Eagles game?
I can't remember, but I think she was wearing the split jersey.
Oh, okay.
And he's just sitting there in the khakis with the red zip up on, and the persona.
And he wasn't even the original.
No, it was, because it was the fatter white guy. And, man.
Once they decided they're going to make it a full-grown character, they had to go with the guy with charisma.
the guy that has a little bit of character and can say more than khakis, and that's it. But
she sounds hideous.
Yeah. Man, that commercial's old too.
Yes,
that came out when was that originally a Super Bowl commercial, or is it
I bet it was.
because that was like that caught on pretty hard for just like a normal commercial. We've gotten way off topic here with the State Farm talk, but
it's a cruel summer.
All right. Well, if you don't have any,
I don't have very many Taylor Swift songs, so I'm just gonna
I don't know.
Shake it off.
Man, all right. That's it. We're cutting it. So that'll do it for today's episode of SOSA Overtime, presented by McDonald's.